So, my material, when you apply it to the leaf surface, you apply it to the factory of the plant. You apply it where the plant is making its sugars and its food. And then it takes those foods in the phloem and it translocates it to the growing points. That's our secret. Oops, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Well, I'm going to do that again. It's kind of fun. It moves. Okay? Metallosate acts like a natural occurring chelates in nature. The amino acid chelate disguises the mineral to appear as a protein, making it xylem and phloem mobile. My material doesn't stay where it's put. It only moves to where the plant sends it. Look at that. You guys see that? Want to see it again? Within 2 to 4 hours, 90% of my material is no longer where we applied it. Nobody in the world can make that claim. Remember what we talked about with Big Mike, with the young man and the little bottle? Nutrient balance. We only know which material of these is the most important by knowing what the levels are in the plant. If we don't have any reference to, am I magnesium deficient or am I magnesium toxic? If I have high magnesium, what does it do to my calcium and my potassium levels? It brings it down. Remember our bucket. I have a bucket. 1,000 milliliters in a bucket. And the bucket is full of marbles. And let's just say that, you see these guys right here? This first list? 80% of the material in this bucket are composed of these three guys right here, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Does that make them the most important? No, it just makes them the highest quantity. But if I don't have any zinc, how efficient is my nitrogen? If I don't have any manganese, how efficient is my calcium or my potassium? So bringing the levels to a balanced level is super important, and we have a way to do that. It's called the team approach. And what we do is we take an average leaf sample, a well-taken leaf sample to a very established laboratory that we have confidence in. What they do is they give us the numbers. These are absolute numbers of the concentration of the nutrients. Nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, all of those nutrients. And then they give us an optimal range. The thing that's interesting is about some of these nutrients, manganese for example, the difference between 150, let's just say we went to a store and they say, I want to buy a pizza. And they said, well, what kind of pizza do you want? I want a pizza with this, this, this on it. Well, the range of that pizza is between $150 and $30. Which would you rather pay me for that pizza? Logically, I only want to pay the $30 pizza. Well, it's the same pizza. Well, he has to pay $150 because we want his numbers to be high. It doesn't make sense, does it? So what we do is we say, it's a relative number. We have an index. This is called the nutrient index right here. And what it does is it gives you a negative number or a positive number. This negative number says that I am a index of 50 units negative on boron, whereas my iron and my copper is 100 times excess. Our goal is to reach the optimum level of that nutrient. And when we're given this index, it gives us a recommendation on what kind of rates we need to apply for that growing period of time. On strawberries, for example, we have units of time for flowering, for fruiting, for ripening, for crown development, for whatever. And so we divide this recommendation into 3 applications, and we apply it like in 3 applications. But what we'll do is in grain crops, where we only take maybe 2 samples a year, we like to use our history and our experience from the past to tell us what to do in the future, right? How many of you feel like you have too much magnesium and not enough potassium? That's very common, isn't it? Very common in the Midwest is to have too much magnesium and not enough potassium. So what the magnesium is doing, the magnesium is blocking my calcium and my potassium uptake. So what we do is we anticipate, based on history, what we're going to apply, and we combine that information with a team report. And the team report gives us more information on what dosage it should be based on its relative balance, okay?
Is that a leaf analysis?
Yes, sir. That is a complete leaf analysis. When you say, not my material. That's a good, the point he's making is, how confident can we be in this analysis? In Mexico, I apply in tomatoes and cucumbers, every single week I apply materials. And the interesting thing is, depending upon the fruit load, depending upon how hot it gets and how much evaporation we'd have to deal with, how the salt accumulation that we have, electrical conductivity problems we have, it will change this number on a weekly basis. So that's why we have a job. That's why as technicians, as crop advisors, we have a job, because we're able to combine the information that the grower gives us with our experience and with a leaf analysis. And I always tell my guys, I say, a leaf analysis is we can only have as much confidence in a leaf analysis as the person who took the sample and the laboratory. When I started working in Mexico 15 years ago, the laboratories were only 80% at best confidence levels. Now they're working towards 95% confidence levels. It's the technician now that determines if we're successful or not on what these numbers mean, how accurate these numbers are. So if we have every one of these young men run out in that field and take a leaf analysis without giving them any training, and they brought the leaf analysis back, we put them in a sample, send them into a lab, same field, every single one of these young men are going to give us a different number, because they weren't given the correct training and the correct procedure, the correct process. Okay? So those numbers are only as valuable as the sample itself. So we, like Randy said, we need to understand that if we applied a fungicide yesterday, today's not a good day to take a sample, because fungicides are high in metals and they will displace other things and give us a false reading. And I'll give you an example. These are lettuce. Look at this. Iron is at an index of 100 units excess. Copper is 150 units excess. So just guess what happened. They took this sample on the edge of the road where the dust was accumulating on the leaves, and they applied a fungicide the day before, a copper-based fungicide on the day before, so this was a contaminated sample. I have a mixed feeling of when I show this. Every one of my presentations has a different crop. Some of them say coffee, some of them say papayas, some of them say corn, some of them whatever. But what it does is it tells you how much confidence can you have in that data based on who took the sample, what part of the field it was in, what time of the week it was. I always tell my guys, if you're going to apply your fungicides on Tuesday, take your samples on Monday. Right? Another thing that laboratories don't do, you know, lab rats, you know what a lab rat is?